It has been a few months now that I've started reading every single calorie label that I put my hands on. And let me tell you this, there's both a good side and a bad side.
And let me tell you why.
Because I have started being just so conscious not only with my macronutrients, so my carbs, protein and fat, but also because I wanted to understand what I was actually putting in my body, reading calorie labels became pretty much a habit for me. And I have changed my shopping pattern so much because of that.
Call me crazy, but yes.
So calorie labels, they contain all the information that we need in order to understand what we're eating and what we're drinking. And ever since I started doing it, I actually got amazed with the quantity of shit that we put in our bodies. There's just so many chemicals and so many products to put in the food so that they can stay for longer in the shelf. It's one of those things that you know, you're aware of it, but you only actually know it. You only actually realize like, wow, it's actually quite bad. When you look at the calorie labels and you see all those weird names that you don't really know what it is. It's kind of like being overweight. You know you're overweight, but at the same time, you don't want to step on the scale because you don't really want to look at the number. It's kind of like the same thing. One example will be the great amount of sugar the products have.
This coffee here is one of the things that I used to buy until I started looking at the calorie labels. And if you look here, it has 50 grams of sugar. And I was doing some research, and according to the American Heart Organization, a normal adult can only have 36 grams of sugar in one day. It's the maximum amount that you can have. So this is way more than that. I just kept doing it. Looking at labels, how much sugar does this have? How many calories? Is it a good food to put into my diet? I started asking myself all these questions. And you know all those weird names that they write on labels? Yeah, I started Googling those. Something that became very common for me was to scan the barcodes of all the packages that I use. I cannot recommend that enough if you want to track your calories and general eating habits. Sometimes, even when it comes to eating, we don't really realize everything that we eat in one day just because we're always busy and doing stuff. But come back to scanning barcodes, the app that I use is MyFitnessPal. There was never a barcode that I scanned and the app didn't find. I use it all the time.
So usually when I'm home, we're all home now, so I just put all the food together like that, and then you just scan all the barcodes at the same time because then it makes it easier, right? Since I'm at home now, I'm also waiting the food, because we all have the time to do that. But then once routine comes back, we're not gonna have the time anymore, so it's gonna be easier to simply eyeball the food when you have to. For now, that is what it is. And I'm actually going to have a smoothie now, so yeah. Just a little bit on a side note here, guys. I would really, really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, it would help me tons. You have no idea how much it would help me. And then just on another side note, I understand that there's a lot of questioning and a lot of controversy when it comes to the validation of these labels and how truthful some of them are, because there are a lot of food producers out there that they're actually not 100% transparent when it comes to putting the actual nutritional information of products on the package. And I understand that. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this later, but for the meantime, let's just assume that they're all truthful and let's work with them that way.
The benefits of it are definitely not needed to be mentioned, but I will anyway. Some of the ones that I can think of from the top of my head is being able to count your macro and even micronutrients, even if you don't really use any apps to track them, understanding how to better structure your meals, and simply because it's important to develop the habit to understand what you're putting in your body. That's how I think, at least.
Otherwise, once you get later in life, this is like one of the things that you only realize later in life, right? Like when you're in your 60s, you're 65 or something like that, and you can barely go through a ping pong game without reaching 40 or something like that, So if you don't want it to happen to you, it's just about selecting what you want to eat, to be honest. That's the only way. Am I sounding a bit too bossy? I hope not. Because, I don't want to be bossy, by no means I'm telling you guys to do what I do, being like a freak, scanning every barcode and looking at every label. No, of course not. I'm just suggesting that if you haven't already, one of the things that you could do in order to better select what you eat and improve your nutrition is definitely looking at the food packages, at least the things that you eat every single day, because they're the ones who are actually going to shape you, let's say. These ones I would definitely encourage you to look at the labels because you eat this every day, so might as well know what you have on them. And then from there, if you want, you can start scaling.
I have only noticed a few key points when I acquired the habit of always looking. Not only on the labels, but also things about my body. As I said, I became much more conscious about the products that I eat. I can tell by eye many of the brands that actually try to make a good product free of chemicals, and the companies that only throw a bunch of shit into their products so they can taste better and sell more.
Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. If there's people willing to buy it, why should I be the one criticizing? It's all about your choices, right?
For some reason, I've also noticed a big peak in my performance. This might just be my personal opinion, but I noticed that I get to the end of my day not as tired as I used to be before. So I'm not talking about workout, I'm not talking about exercise, I'm talking about my actual work day, my actual daily routine. And since I do intermittent fasting, if you have already done it, you know how tough it can be sometimes. So by developing the habit of really looking at labels and selecting what I eat, combined with a few other factors, of course, working out being one of them, has definitely helped me to build this performance. And something else that I've noticed is how much added sugar products contain. It's seriously amazing. I'm not only talking about chocolates and lollies and sweets, I'm talking about every single product category. Sugar is what gives the nice flavor to any food pretty much, and we know how addictive sugar is. It's a problem for a lot of people. So why wouldn't food producers put sugar in their foods if they can sell more by doing that? And again, I'm not judging, because if there's people willing to buy these products with added sugar, why wouldn't they put it? Nothing wrong with that in my opinion.
I think that's also the reason why many people don't look at the calorie labels. Think about it this way. When you look at the calorie labels in the package, that's it. You're now aware of the things that you're eating. So if you're eating something that's really bad for you and you're just acting like, oh, I didn't know it was bad, when you look at the label, you do know it is.
If I look at how many calories this has, I'm never gonna eat it. Just better not look.
That's mainly because people don't want to be accountable for anything that requires a little bit of effort. Anything that requires people to step out at least a little bit of the comfort zone, they don't want to do it. Because if they have been doing that thing for a week or for a month or even 2 months, they think they should be succeeding. They think that everything should already be changed. And let's face it, that's not really how it works. Anyway, that's story for another video.
Now that you've looked at my calorie labels, you know I only taste good, but that I have shit ingredients, so it's on you if you eat me. That was the food talking. I don't know. Yeah. That's probably what some packages would say if they could talk. But anyway, let's come back.
So if you're wondering how you can get started at the art of looking at calorie labels, I'm guessing, that's not really an art, but I'm trying to think about something I can tell you so that you start developing the habit of looking at these labels so that you can better select what you eat. But honestly, the only thing I can think of is when you start caring about your nutrition and about what you put inside your body, this is the only way that you're actually gonna start looking at labels and start looking at how many calories and how many grams of carbs and fat and protein, blah, 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 and all this has. There's no such thing as a hack to look at labels. The label is literally right there. You have 1,000 labels in your house right now, okay? So it's literally only about caring about your nutrition and start doing the work. That's it.
As I said before though, there are people who doubt about the validity of these labels, whether they're truthful or not. There were already videos made questioning the honesty of companies when they're making these labels, since, by law, companies are actually obligated to show the calorie label in any package, although no one really checks to see if these labels are actually accurate. My opinion is that even though there might be companies who might put out different results than the ones that they get at the lab, unless you're gonna start a small plantation at home in your garden and eat that exclusively, there's not really much we can do about it, right? I'm sure in the future there will be better, easier, and more affordable ways to know if the label is actually true. But right now, we unfortunately have to work with what we have.
In some countries, actually, some discrepancies between the food and the label are allowed. And that's mostly because it's not a perfect science when it comes to measuring calories and macro ingredients and all that. For tracking macros and calorie purposes, it's going to be the same thing. There's no such thing as an exact science. The only way that you know how many calories you put inside your body exactly to the number is if you eat exactly the same quantities every day and you take these quantities to a lab and they're going to analyze and then they're going to come back with an answer for you. Otherwise, there's no way you're ever going to be perfect. So look, regardless of what you're trying to achieve by eating, besides logically surviving, reading calorie labels is definitely a great way to simply understand what you're eating, understand what you're putting inside your body. I'm not talking about diets. I'm not talking about which diet you should follow. I'm not talking about losing weight. I'm not talking about gaining weight. I'm not talking about working. I'm not talking about anything like that. No, I'm simply talking about you being aware of what you put inside your body. Even if you have never exercised, even if you have never done a diet, it doesn't matter. It's only for you to understand what you're putting inside your body, just for you to be conscious of your intake. Start with that and then slowly move towards food selection and doing a more specific diet and working out, if that's of course what you want. Besides that, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate for you to have watched all the way over here. I hope you learned something, definitely, and have an amazing day. Bye.